Country reopens under the new normal. Public transport to commence as usual.
ජනතාවගෙන් 95% දැනටත් මේකට අනුගත වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
කොවිඩ් එක්ක හැංගිලා ජීවත් වෙන්න බෑ. කොවිඩ් වලට මුහුණ දෙන්න ඕනේ.
Preparations underway to inject 20% of the country's population with a vaccine to counter COVID-19. Was a preliminary study conducted prior to granting permission for a firm to import rapid antigen test kits. District secretaries and divisional secretaries empowered to utilize other state forests for productive means.
Hello and welcome to your primetime news this evening, and in our lead story, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the country should be restored to normalcy while containing the COVID-19 crisis, since the country cannot be locked down until the pandemic is fully eradicated. The President made these remarks while addressing the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19.
Different people are expressing different opinions, but we have three options. One is to close down the entire country. The second option would be not doing anything at all. The third is to restore normalcy in the country while containing the virus. We have chosen the third option. The economy experienced a major downfall owing to COVID-19. Once the virus was contained, we were able to recover the economy to a certain extent. We managed to move forward without any patience for 2 months. The second wave came up because everyone considered the risk too lightly. Neither did they follow instructions, nor did they adhere to the guidelines. Everyone disregarded their responsibilities. We will not be able to contain the situation if people do not fulfill their personal responsibilities. Everyone suggests closing down the country. But how will people earn and survive? How will they do business? How will they engage in agriculture? Those who appear on the media must talk about what needs to be done by the people to contain the virus and how they can increase their immunity. Doctors know these things. They have to inform the public about the gravity of this issue. We spend around 60 million rupees daily on this. We have to make the people understand their responsibilities and tackle this issue. The challenge before us is how to carry out these tasks parallelly. If this is an issue related to terrorism, I would have resolved this easily, but it is not. This is a matter related to health. So the biggest responsibility lies with the health sector. They have to consider the overall situation and provide a solution.
During the meeting, the President reiterated that it is everyone's responsibility to not fall prey to the pandemic, as a huge sum of money is spent on the quarantining process.
The Minister of Health says the World Health Organization has agreed to provide the vaccine for COVID-19 to 20% of the Sri Lankan population. In a release, the ministry said a committee has been appointed by the Minister of Health, Pavitra Vanniyarachi, to look into the insurance of the vaccine. The committee will be in charge of allocating the required funds, determining the recipients of the vaccine, managing physical resources and data collection. The decision was made during a special meeting convened to discuss eradicating the pandemic under the patronage of Minister of Health, Pavitra Vanniyarachi. The meeting was attended by State Minister of Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channa Jayasumana, WHO representative to Sri Lanka, Dr. Razia Pense, and several others. A preliminary analysis shows the first coronavirus vaccine can prevent more than 90% of people from getting infected by COVID-19. The developers, Pfizer and BioNTech, described it as a great day for science and humanity. Their vaccine has been tested on 43,500 people in 6 countries, and no safety concerns have been raised. The companies plan to apply for emergency approval to use the vaccine by the end of the month. There are around a dozen in the final stages of testing, but this is the first to show any results. The trials in US, Germany, Brazil, Argentina, South Africa and Turkey show 90% protection is achieved 7 days after the second dose. However, there are logistical challenges, as the vaccine has to be kept in ultra-cold storages at below minus 80 degrees Celsius.
Now, quarantine curfew in all areas was lifted with effect from 5 a.m. today. However, a number of areas in the Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Kegol and Kurunegala districts have been classified as isolated areas.
Usual operations resumed in most areas of the western province today, apart from the areas which were named as isolated locations. Accordingly, state and private sector employees should report for duty as usual. The Ministry of State Service, provincial councils and local governments said state services should function with a minimum number of employees despite quarantine curfew being lifted. Employees who are to be called for duty should be decided by the heads of the relevant institutions. Other employees should continue to work from home. Public transport services recommenced today. Although passenger buses operated today, only a limited number of private buses were in operation. Earlier today, private bus owners claimed either a revision of ticket prices or the granting of certain concessions was required if they are to provide uninterrupted services given the current situation in the country.
All they did was speak of how they would formulate a plan for bus services to function in the midst of COVID-19. Now they are delaying it. Do not turn this into a situation where people die on the streets. Only 10% of buses are plying on roads in the western province. Create a system where passengers can travel safely on buses.
අන්දමින් බස්සත් ඒක ගමන් කරන්න ඒ ක්‍රමවේදය වහා සකසන්න ඕන. බොරුවට කියනවා අරක දෙන්නම්.
Although they falsely claimed that they would provide us with a diesel concession and other concessions, they have not done it until today. I will state that responsibly. Bus owners and their employees are helpless. Every bus owner who owns buses that do not run on kerosene oil should either be given a concession on diesel or prices of tickets should be hiked.
එක්ක ඩීසල් සානාධාරය ඕනේ එක්ක බස් ගාසු සංශෝධනයක් ඕනේ.
However, chairman of the Sri Lanka Transport Board, Kingsley Ranawaka, said 3,574 buses were in operation today.
There is a great demand for buses, especially ones which are used as office transports. That is a timely need. We will establish a special unit. The hotline is 077 10 56044. One can secure transport services to their respective institutions when you call that hotline.
The Department of Railways said 136 office trains were in operation throughout the day today. Employees were also seen arriving at their places of work on taxis as well.
Meanwhile, security was beefed up in the isolated areas today. No one was permitted to enter Maligawatha and Grand Pass. Meanwhile, allowances were distributed among elderly citizens at the Mutwal post office today. PCR tests were conducted in the Moderavilla tsunami flats in the Kalathura district. Dry rations were distributed among the villagers with the assistance of the Panadura Divisional Secretariat. This was the situation in the Kurunagala municipality limits today.
How is the progress so far? Are people cooperating with this new plan?
There were sub-clusters that were created especially in Colombo district and Gampar district. So we analyze the situation and we conduct some investigations. So according to the results of those investigations, it has been revealed, especially some vendors, the shop owners, they have not cooperated in order to prevent the disease. So therefore, disease had been spread in various areas.
Still, I believe that still the COVID-19 situation in this country is at the level of controllable situation. We need a very good public support to go ahead with this and achieve very good success result of the controlling of this disease and minimize the case load and minimize the death rate and contamination and restart country. So we need public support very well. Still we are in a position to control this disease without going to the community spread.
Doctor, some might say that the government could have continued the quarantine curfew for a little bit longer before lifting it yesterday.
We should not challenge that decision. The last about 10 months duration, we saw the behavior of this country in a satisfactory manner. So I hope the decision is okay. We can control this disease if the people are supporting very well.
Many areas have been declared as isolated areas. Many key cities in the western province, especially in Colombo, has been declared as isolated areas. What is the key difference between a quarantine curfew or a curfew and a particular area being declared as an isolated area?
It's a very good question. So when the quarantine curfew is in existence in an area, the essential services could be operate. The public transport system could be operated with certain conditions. So if it is a quarantine curfew area, the threat is slightly low. If it is a lockdown area, the threat is high. Very high. Threat is very high because the COVID positive patients have been found, and apart from that, there is a tendency of spreading the disease. So therefore, if it is a lockdown area, no one can enter the lockdown area, or no one can leave. No one can leave, but there is an exception, as you all know. If there is a hospital in the area, now let's say Ragama police area is a lockdown area. North Colombo teaching hospital is situated in the area. So therefore the services and the functions of the hospital, it should be implemented. The inmates of these lockdown areas, so they need food, they need water, they need electricity, they need other communication methods. So therefore those services are operated with certain conditions in the lockdown areas, but all other activities are prohibited. All other activities are prohibited, and shops cannot be open or other operations cannot be conducted. It is strictly prohibited.
Do we have any idea as to how long this isolation process will persist?
So definitely, if we are able to continue with this lockdown process for a period of 14 days, 14 days, then we can get some sort of idea about the positive cases and the situation. But again and again, the COVID positive cases are found in the area, so sometimes it might be extended for another 1 week or fortnight. Generally, within a period of 14 days, we can get and we can analyze the situation, so accordingly we can take a decision.
We are now embarking on a new normal as Sri Lankans. What are the key things that the citizens of Sri Lanka should be aware of?
From today, we are going to deploy police officers in mufti, in plain clothes, throughout the country, in order to monitor the situation, in order to get the information. So we are compelled to implement the quarantine law, rules and regulations. So therefore, constant operations are conducted in order to apprehend the suspect in respect of the provisions of COVID-19 Gazette notification and the provisions of penal code, and they are dealt with the law. We are filing charges against them in courts, and if they are convicted, they are fined, and apart from that, they are given imprisonment.
Now, the Government Information Department said that all areas in the Kurunegala municipality, excluding the Ilipugedara Grama Seva division and the Kadavidiya Grama Seva division, have been released from isolation. In addition, all areas in the Kuliyapatiya police area, excluding Galagedara, Hammalawa and Ihala Kalugomo Grama Seva divisions, have also been released from isolation. Meanwhile, another 510 COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. They were close associates of the Peliagoda fish market cluster. Accordingly, the total number of COVID-19 cases related to the Minuangeda and Peliagoda clusters stands at 10,447. The total number of COVID-19 patients reported from the country has risen to 13,929. Another 595 COVID-19 patients infected were recovered today. Accordingly, the total number of recoveries stands at 8,880. 5,014 patients are currently receiving treatment in hospitals. 35 people have died owing to COVID-19 thus far. Now, the Presidential Task Force on Economic Revival and Poverty Alleviation convened at Temple Trees today, headed by its chairman, Basil Rajapaksa.
When the importation and distribution of fertilizer was discussed at the meeting, former Minister Rajapaksa instructed the officials to take steps to provide fertilizer required for paddy cultivation in the Maha season to the farmers in a timely manner. He pointed out that a timely supply of water and fertilizer to farmers could increase production capacity in a short period of time. It was revealed that the fertilizer requirement for this year is 708,910 metric tons. A portion of the fertilizer required for the Maha season has been provided to farmers, and the National Fertilizer Secretariat has stated that stocks are being received for the systematic distribution of the remaining amount. It was revealed at today's discussion that 10% of the fertilizer required for other crops is imported and is issued by the government companies, and 90% is issued through private companies. Rajapaksa has instructed that an environment be created where farmers can purchase fertilizer at any given time.
As discussions are being held regarding the development of agriculture, several issues concerning the marketing mechanism for agricultural produce have arisen. Since it was announced that the Manning market in Peta will be open, a large group carrying their harvest arrived at the market today. However, they were prohibited from engaging in trading activities. However, the group was advised to bring in their lorries to the Narayanpeta Economic Centre.
We came here with our goods for the traders in Colombo. We are helpless today. About 100 lorries are parked beside the road, and the government should do something about this. The shop owners are waiting for the goods. If the market is closed, they will inform us not to come. It was announced on TV that the markets were open. That's why we brought our goods. Who is going to listen to us? Where are we going to go?
Despite the arrival of the Manning market authorities, the police did not allow vegetable trading. Thereafter, the traders sold their produce along the Singharaja Mawata in Colombo and at the technical junction.
We request that the losses of the farmers be minimized. The Narayanpeta Economic Centre is small in size. More than 100 goods are there in one lorry. As a union, we are inactive for days. After it was announced that the Western province will be opened, everyone was told to send their produce.
Although many people transported their fruits and vegetables to the Narayanpeta Economic Centre, they were not accepted.
Meanwhile, the police have decided not to reopen the Colombo Manning market until health recommendations are issued. According to police media spokesperson, attorney at law DIG Ajit Rohana, this decision has been taken in light of the present health condition of the merchants at the market.
The distribution mechanism as well as the pricing of farmers' produce has become problematic. At the Special Economic Centre in Narayanpeta today, the wholesale price of a kilogram of leeks was between 50 to 60 rupees. However, the retail price of leeks today was between 120 and 140 rupees. A kilogram of carrots was sold at a retail price of 150 rupees.
There are no vegetables. The wholesale prices are about 40 and a kilo of carrot is sold between 100 rupees and 120 rupees.
Although the prices of vegetables is very high in Colombo, the farmers get only a meagre sum of money for their produce. The Minister of Agriculture, Mahindananda Alutkamage, identified this issue yesterday. Secretary, I am at the Nuwara Economic Centre. A kilo of leeks is sold here at 20 rupees. It is sold at 140 rupees in Narayanpeta. These people said that there is a businessman here who purchased 200,000 kilos at 20 rupees. Potatoes are 120 rupees here and 240 rupees there. Carrots are 130 rupees here and 260 rupees there. We can't just close down a few shops in Narayanpeta and do this. We will have to cancel the agreement and give it directly to Nuwara. If we don't do this, we will never get to fix this. This cannot be allowed to continue. People who do nothing are profiting from this. This is a massive mafia. This is not something that should be taken lightly.
These issues must have long-term solutions. Whenever a new government comes, they say various things and we place our hopes in them. But farmers don't get anything. I'm trying to sell vegetables for 3.5 months now. There is no way I can sell them. I can't sell this even for 20 rupees.
There is no proper fertilizer. The price of pesticides is high. A kilo of leeks is purchased for 25 rupees. It costs about 55 to 60 rupees to produce a kilo of leeks. The kilo of leeks that we purchase at 25 rupees is sent to Colombo for 35-40 rupees. The leeks that we purchase at 25 rupees and sell to vendors in Colombo at 35 rupees is being sold for 240 rupees in Colombo. This is being done by the parties that get involved in the distribution in the middle.
It was said that Colombo will be open today. All the fruit and vegetable farmers have arrived at the Manning market with their produce. And the government said that the market has been shut down. The entire nation has been impacted and pressurized due to a weak, defunct government that works with no plan. The government must take immediate action to provide relief for the people. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa expressed the following views when he called upon the Mahasangha, including Venerable Tantirimale Chandratana Thero at the Tantirimale Rajamahavihara.
Now, district and divisional secretaries have been vested with the power of using lands classified as other state forests for economic and other productive purposes, terminating the previously issued circular.
Forest areas that do not come under the purview of the Forest Conservation Department are called other state forests. Other state forests were brought under the Department of Forest Conservation in terms of the provision of Circular number 5/2001 so that no one can use these lands in an arbitrary manner. If lands classified as other state forests are to be used for any economic or productive activity, it is mandatory to obtain approval from a special review committee. Prior to the 2020 general election, it was proposed to do away with the circular. However, those attempts were foiled following serious public outcry. In contrast, based on the Cabinet Directive on the 1st of July 2020, the Secretary to the Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Conservation, Bandula Harishchandra, issued a new circular on the 4th of November 2020, terminating several circulars, including Circular number 5/2001. Accordingly, the district and divisional secretaries will be given the power to use lands classified as other state forests for various activities.
Now, the Colombo Stock Exchange turnover passed 5 billion rupees today.
On a Facebook post, State Minister of Money and Capital Market and State Enterprise Reforms Ajit Niwat Cabral said, quote, CSE turnover passes 5 billion rupees in today's trading. ASPI is up. Great to see investor confidence returning to our capital markets. End quote.
Today we saw once again the market going on a positive trend where the ASPI moved up by around 34 points while the S&P SL 20. However, the market was slightly slower than last Friday. However, still the market was up. In addition to that, we saw a significant amount of activity in the market. The activity has been rising over the last 7 days and it has been on a continuous uptrend, and today we are seeing the highest level of activity. Turnover wise, we saw turnover surpassing the 5 billion mark, and it's only the second time after the COVID market shutdown that was there in May, and with that we are seeing the turnover hit 5.5 billion, and after that there seems to be a strong buying pressure in the market.
Now, a broad discourse regarding the process of importing a stock of rapid antigen test kits with the intervention of a particular company has arisen in recent days. A number of parties point out that the transaction took place in a way that benefited one party immensely.
The rapid antigen test is an antibody test that detects the presence of antibodies in an infected person. In addition to the current PCR test, the health sector is now considering the possibility of conducting antigen testing.
Antigen test, rapid test.
The World Health Organization has decided to donate 200,000 rapid antigen test kits. These have been sampled and validated. Now these samples have been sent to Kandy, IDH and MRI as well as our Karapitiya lab, and they will go to the locations where there are patients, where they will verify the validated test samples. We will verify the validated tests of those samples. We are waiting for the specialists' verification report this evening or tomorrow.
නැත්නම් හෙට අපිට මේ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ඒව විශේෂඥ වෛද්‍යවරුන්ගේ වෙරිෆිකේෂන් report එක.
The ministry contacted the World Health Organization's office in India directly to procure 100,000 rapid antigen tests. Accordingly, these kits will only be available for 10 days. The Ministry of Health requested that a tender be called for another 100,000 sets. Then a tender was called on the 9th and it was concluded on the 22nd. Although we have referred the 29 requested companies to a technical evaluation committee, the World Health Organization has already approved the kits, but the technical committee says that it will take some time to determine its validity and how this will work in Sri Lanka. According to that recommendation, the procurement committees that will meet later will decide to purchase the most competitive test kit.
වඩාත්ම තරංකාරී මිලකට තියෙන මේ පරීක්ෂණ කට්ටලේ මිලදී ගන්න කටයුතු කරන්න.
The National Medicines Regulatory Authority has given approval to a private company to import antigen test kits while the tender process and the suitability verification process is ongoing.
මේ කියන antigen test.
They say that the company has received this approval on the 22nd of October to import 200,000 antigen test kits. So while they say that they imported the test kits based on those approvals received, on the other hand, we saw the chairman of the State Pharmaceutical Corporation, Dr. Prasanna Gunasena, say that they have opened a tender to import this. Our problem then is as to whether these test kits have been brought in line with the regulations imposed by the National Medicines Regulatory Authority or something else.
මේ සමාගම ගෙන්නුවේ එහෙම නැතුව ගිහිල්ලා වුන් වෙන එකක් ගෙන්නුවද කියන කාරණාව.
මේ antigen kit එක අපි
This antigen test 1 was submitted to us for registration. It was submitted to the National Drug Regulatory Authority for registration. After that, we have registered it using the usual methodology. We were able to register it easily here because the World Health Organization had previously identified it.
කියාව ලැබුණා ලෝක සෞඛ්‍ය සංවිධානයේ විසින් කලින් ඒක හඳුනාගෙන අපිට දැනගන්න ලැබිලා තියෙන විදිහට මේ වෙන.
As far as we know, the suitability test is currently being conducted in Sri Lanka by the NMRI. It is after the result of that test is ascertained that it can be used in Sri Lanka. There is a certain amount. There is a system that the WHO uses to provide countries like ours with this kind of relief under their projects. But there is a limit to the extent to which they can meet the full requirement. They won't be able to meet the full requirement. If there is an all-encompassing need for this in the country, we can bring this down through the private or the public sectors. That also depends on the verdict of the NMRI. In the future, we can make a statement based on the results, its suitability, and how we should use it in the country.
යම් ප්‍රකාශයක් සිදු කරන්න පුළුවන් මෙහි යෝග්‍යතාවය සහ අප රට තුළ භාවිතා කළ යුත්තේ කෙසේද කියන එක.
The Health Service Quality Control Authority first gives permission to bring samples for this. After bringing this kit, it will be sent to a team of experts to see if it works in Sri Lanka. If someone were to say that we allow anything approved by the WHO or the American standards body, they should tell us whether that is done all the time. Such a situation has never arisen in Sri Lankan history. Which goods have been given such permission before? It has not been done. There is nothing in these regulations that can be given. So we say it is a sham.
Regulation වල ඇත්තෙත් නැහැ. ඒ නිසා අපි කියනවා ඒක මවාපෑම.
අපි අහන පෞද්ගලික ආයතනයකයි කොස් කොටන්න.
We ask whether what these private companies have brought will be used for chopping jackfruit or coconuts. No, it will be for the use of the people of this country. We as a party are anxiously following what is going on. Our governments brought in by a particular group so that those groups can squander the wealth. Are they playing a game? We have to ask if the other team is shouting because they can't watch this game being played.
ඇත්තට මේ ගේම් එක ගහනවා බලන් ඉන්න බැරුව අනිත් කණ්ඩායම කෑ ගහනවාද කියලා තමයි අපිට හිතෙන්නේ.
These antigen kits have been imported under the supervision of the Auditor General. This is a company connected closely to the heads of the government. We remember the heads of the government doing business. On one occasion, Minister Rajda Senaratne went to do business in the health sector and lost his parliamentary seat. Who is the driving force behind the import of these antigen kits? Who is the head of the government? The heads of the government cannot do business. We insist that this be subject to a serious audit.
ආණ්ඩුවේ ප්‍රධානීන්ට බිස්නස් කරන්න බෑ. අපි කියනවා දැන් විකුණුමාධිපතිවරට මේක ගැන හොයන්න කියලා.
Countryside.
The Minister of Sports, Nama Rajapaksa, said that he is hoping to construct a synthetic running track that consists 6 lanes at the Dorayappa Stadium in Jaffna. The minister spoke to media following an inspection tour at the stadium this morning.
Minister engaged in fitness exercises upon his arrival at the Dorayappa Stadium. He was accompanied by State Minister Tenuka Vidanagamage, Parliamentarian Angajan Ramanathan, Mayor of Jaffna Emmanuel Arnold and national netball player Tarjini Sivalingam.
The Dorayappa Stadium is a centre for sports development in the northern province. We are hoping to develop the stadium with the facilities required for football. In order to bring up a football league in Sri Lanka on an international scale, Jaffna will have to be transformed into a centre for that. Within the next 4 years, we are hoping to build synthetic tracks in 6 lanes. We are holding discussions regarding that right now. We are hoping to build centres or outdoor gyms in Jaffna and in nearby islands.
Gammadda, Nagitimu, Sri Lanka.
Many heroic Sri Lankans continue to toil hard day and night to protect us from the lethal COVID-19. The Sri Lanka police has spearheaded such operations to curtail the virus, treating each citizen with dignity and respect and considering each child as their own. Police forces continue to safeguard the nation by fending off any obstacles or disaster. Day, night, rain or shine, the Sri Lanka police provide its services to those in need. Are they immune to COVID-19? Certainly not. But they have band together in a relentless effort to face this challenge. Police forces have been assigned the crucial task of ensuring the citizenry adhere to health regulations in the country's effort to eradicate COVID-19. What will be the state of our nation had the police forces not existed? These heroes who face caution with caution are undoubtedly an example to us all.
Gammadda, Nagitimu, Sri Lanka.
Well, that's a wrap of your news. Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget, if you missed out on any of our stories over the course of the day, you can catch us up on our social media, on our Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. You can also check out our award-winning website, www.newsfirst.lk. I've been Deshan Gonwala for the Newsfirst team.